Today I'd like to introduce Barrie Whipp, Executive Chairman of Crimson Tide. Hi Barrie, thanks for joining us. For those unacquainted with your company, can you briefly explain what your company actually does?
Well, Chris, we like to make people mobile professionals. We give them a smartphone or a tablet. We find out what their work processes are or what the processes are in healthcare. We mobilise that onto the device, give them all the tools that they need to get the job done without paperwork in the field. Everything's mobilised, it's in the cloud, and it's on subscription.
And your business model, how does that work?
Well, we aim to gather subscribers to our ever-increasing book. So our contracts tend to be long-term contracts, and we try to not charge people capital up front. So we give them an ongoing subscription service, and that's our business model.
You've sold your MPro 5 business app subscription service to companies in many different sectors, in many different industries. What makes the application so scalable and able to be deployed in such a wide range of industries?
Well, it's the way the service is written as a platform. So about 80% of what we do is written in the database. So in some ways we treat industrial equipment the same as patients. They are the thing that has things done to it, usually to a schedule. And so if you can write that in the database, your entities are just easily loadable, they're easily usable, and don't involve the rewriting of code.
What's the average length of a contract, and what percentage of customers are renewing when their contract comes to an end?
Well, the contracts are usually 36 months. We have some longer and a few shorter, but that's about the average. Of course, we aim to keep people on much longer than that. You know, we have customers that have been with us for 7 or 8 years.
And the percentage of renewals?
We put it over 80%. In fact, some of the ones that are not renewing perhaps are some of the smaller ones, whereas we're moving up the enterprise level. We're becoming quite well known in bigger enterprise mobility. So perhaps whilst the retention rate is just in excess of 80, the ones that are falling away are smaller, and the ones that are coming in tend to be larger.
According to your latest interims, your margins are very high, with a gross margin of 83% and an operating margin of 28%. Before depreciation and amortisation. Do you think you can increase or maintain these?
I think in excess of 80% is very good. We're very pleased to be around that level, and we'll be pleased to continue at that level. At the operating level, I think you're quite right in pointing out that that margin is very high, which means that the gearing on future growth is high as well. So we're happy with those percentages.
You still hold a significant 23.1% of the company, according to company refs. This is despite having sold a fair proportion to institutions. I think Helium has 19.4%. But how many other institutions in total are invested in your company?
Very few. We have a new investment holding taken out quite recently with a small institution. Frankly, we'd quite like to grow our investor base as far as institutions are concerned. I do have that quite large percentage, but we're not averse to spreading out the shareholding.
Should investors be concerned that further on down the line there could be significant dilution through fundraisings?
I think the key there is significant. One can't rule out some dilution if the business opportunity presents itself. But I think, as we said, you know, investors such as myself and Helium, we're not overly keen to dilute dramatically, having gone through a period of what we would call the hard work. To dilute now wouldn't be very clever of us.
Why is broker coverage on this company almost non-existent? For example, there aren't figures for the forthcoming year. Are you planning to change that?
We're working with WH Ireland to get some research on the company out very shortly. The reason we've held back is that, for example, the landmark contract that we announced a few weeks ago was quite touch and go at that point. So the figures that we would have projected would have been very different had that contract been in or had it been out. So the research should be with you very soon.
Where would you like this company to be in 5 years' time?
I imagine that in mobility, the world will once again be transformed over a 5-year period. We're already seeing growth in wearable technology. I think there'll be growth in insertable technology, where devices are actually inserted into the human body. And we'd like to keep at the forefront of that, especially with our expertise in healthcare.
Well, I think you're a company certainly worth looking at, and I'll definitely be keeping my eyes on you. Thank you very much.